Wayne, thank you for talking to me. Always
Pleasure.
a pleasure. We've just opened Hangar 61, which really is going to be the forefront of junior darts and really push not only junior darts forward, but darts forward as well. How significant could this be for the JDC, Winmau and the sport?
Yeah, I think it's massive. We know it's like the first of a kind, so it's hard to envisage how it's going to kind of penetrate the world of darts. But if this is the blueprint, how can it fail, basically? And to get the youth players that are in here today, just watching them throw, watching them, and how good they are, by the way, it's sickening. I'm not a jealous man. I'm not normally a jealous man, but I'm watching how good they are. And it's a case of they love the game, they love the sport, and if this is the future, it's great. But if this is the blueprint and this is rolled out time and time again in areas of the country and over Europe, by the way, of which there's talk about, the world of darts is in fine fettle. It starts today. It starts now with the youngsters, and we know that it doesn't take long, and Luke Littler's proof of that. It doesn't take long to become a world champion. It doesn't take that long to become a professional darts player. Some of these are old, well, they're not now, but some of these are only 2 or 3 years beyond Luke Littler in terms of age. So as if development, of course, is an absolute darting phenom, but some of these are right up there as well.
It used to be that a player would do the 9 till 5, or go to the pub after work, pick up a set of darts, quite decent, and then try to go pro. Whereas now, it's almost like other sports. I know you watch a lot of golf where these players that are born into the sport and they go through the pre-teen years, teenage years. Is that how you see darts going? Do you think the makeup of dart play is going to change through things like this?
Yeah, 100%. I believe, and there's a couple of academy adults that run academies, and they're saying that their attendees, their youth attendees, are getting younger and younger. So an 8-year-old is now turning up with their 6-year-old sister, and it's like, this is wonderful. When did that ever happen in darts? Couldn't happen back in the day because you either wasn't allowed into a pub or club. This is just a safe place for anyone to pick up darts. And bearing in mind, there's other dartboards in this venue that are there for the adults as well, and they're allowed in here, but obviously with their kids. But this is a safe space for anyone to play darts, but predominantly for the kids. But going forward, you just feel that this has to be a success story. It just has to be. Back in the day, it was difficult. It's now not difficult. The PDC now run darts alongside so many other corporations, whether it be Sky, ITV, whether it be Winmau, whether it be all the YouTube channels and all the online social media channels. We've all got responsibility here. These kids will have a responsibility in years to come, because they're going to be, some of them will be the next Luke Littler. And I hope that they understand that this responsibility will be on their shoulders, because it happens pretty quickly. Look how quickly it happened for Luke. He joined the PDC, and then it was a world final, literally like weeks after. So it happens quick. It happens quick. But the world of darts is growing at such a rate that I'm hoping it can keep up. It seems to be keeping up, but we don't want it to outgrow itself.
I liked what you said right at the start when we opened this, when you was talking to the kids that, a few of you will be superstars, but for others, make sure you enjoy it, respect the game, respect your opponent, have a life away from darts. How important is that? Because we've got Luke Littler now, but everybody always wants the next Luke Littler.
Yep.
We see it in other sports as well.
Yep.
How important is it to try to not get distracted by that pressure and that talk, and just focus on number one, enjoying the sport, having a laugh, and not having that pressure, and just being a kid, being a teenager?
Yeah, it's difficult, and I can talk with a bit of authority, because when I started playing, I was pretty good pretty quick. So by the time I was 12, 13 years of age, I was going into pubs because we were allowed back then, and I was winning like a £50 note on like my 12th or 13th birthday, it was about this big, by the way, and a weekly wage back in 1985, 86 wasn't far off of £50. But what come from that was that there was pressure applied. There was an opinion that yeah, you're going to make it, you're going to do this, do that. Well, it was about 2 or 3 years after that I kind of took a back seat for about a year or so. Didn't really play a lot, but come back to the sport and absolutely loved it. There's going to be kids in here that are just they're going to play for fun for their whole lives. There's going to be some that don't play. There's going to be some that go away and come back. There's going to be some that never ever stop playing for a day, that will possibly never make it. There's going to be some that don't take it seriously until they get to 35, 40. Get a win price. Never took the sport seriously, but had a God-given gift, used it later on in his life. When you've experienced a sport and loved the sport, and you walk away, you have the opportunity to come back, it feels like it's another lease of life. And I've been lucky, I've been around it for decades, like 4 decades now. I've never really fallen out of love with it. I have playing a bit because I'm not that very good anymore. So where's the enjoyment in it in fives, right? There's no enjoyment for me. But I still get that buzz from doing commentary, doing this actually, just being part of the sport still. And I'm hoping that these kids, they're just, some of them just older than embryos. I'm hoping that they enjoy the sport for what it is. And that is not always the professional side of it. That is just enjoying it. And 2 of my best friends in the world are Colin Lloyd and Kevin Painter. I met them at darts literally 3.5 decades ago. They're still my friends. Now, that's what darts can do. That's what it can do. It's a great social sport, but it's also a great learning curve.
I just want to touch on Luke Littler. He's almost the poster boy for junior darts. We've seen what he's done. Remember, I asked Luke, a bit tongue-in-cheek, but I asked him at the World Championship, what makes Luke Littler lose his head?
Right.
The match after that was the game against Rob Cross.
Right.
And then we've seen what's happened in the Premier League. Could this be the Achilles heel? We've seen it in Germany as well, where he can get a little bit rattled. How significant could that be? And is it important that either he or his team or whoever try and get a handle on that?
Yeah, I'm a believer that now it has to, whatever's going on, I'm a believer that the team around him have a responsibility. He has a responsibility, but I'm always reticent to go on about his age. When he was 16, 17, it was just like, he's not even an adult yet, it's just ridiculous. So it was always mentioned then. Now he's 19, he's bordering on, he's a young man, let's get it right. He's not a child anymore, even though I think of him as a child, because he's 33 years younger than me. What on earth? How is anyone 33 years younger than me? It's just ridiculous. I really believe that he's still finding his feet. I believe he's learning about himself. I believe he's learning his trade. I believe he's learning so much about when defeat happens, maybe when he didn't see it coming, situations are happening and he's not knowing how to deal with it. He needs to listen to friends, family and management, and they need to get it right also. If I was to hear that they would turn around and say, don't worry about them, as in don't deal with it, that's not the way forward. Because no one likes being disliked. Peter Manley tried it back in the day, didn't work. Paul Nicholson tried it back in the day, didn't work. Gedwin Price tried it, doesn't like it. So they've all become ingratiators to the crowd in that regard. They've all changed tact. Luke Littler never set out to antagonise any crowd member. Unfortunately, he has done once or twice. He'd want it to stop. He'd want it to stop. It's easy for me to say, Luke, play your darts, show your class power, win the world title, walk away. It's easy to say that. But if you feel like it in the spur of the moment, that it's building and building and you can't hold back, then of course we want that emotion as well. But there's a fine line between negative emotion and raw emotion. We don't want to see negative because we don't want to see it impact a player. We don't want to see anyone look as down as Gedwin Price did maybe a couple of years ago. That wasn't nice to see, and I'm glad he's pulled himself out of that. But generally, it doesn't work when you question a crowd. Of course, this leads on to another question. Maybe the crowds need to be policed better. This is not a dig at the security, this is not a dig at the PDC, not a dig at anyone. Just maybe it needs to be self-policed, or policed better, or self-policed better, because back in the day it was, now it's not.
Yeah, on that point, I mean, I think it's a point that a lot of people agree on, but how does that go about, especially when you're in these arenas when sometimes it's 10,000 plus people, you can have all the security in the world, but it's that loud and that many people, how do you fairly, but also tackle the problem accurately of dealing with whistlers? Because quite often I think Gary Price has talked about it.
Yeah.
If 10,000 people are whistling, it's okay.
Yeah.
If you've got a small group of people whistling, that's the problem.
Yeah. The reason I started smiling at the start of your question was that I literally said it has to be self-police better, it has to be police better. I've no idea how. I've no idea how. And this is the thing, right? It's way above me. All I can think of is numbers. Just numbers. I'm just saying it'd be more cost for the organiser or the PDC, whoever it is, to put 30 more security just walking up and down. If it's not self-police, then it has to be police somewhere. And I'm not saying dragged by the scruff of the neck, but it's like, you can't do that, you're out. Yeah. And someone sees that happen, they're not going to do it. The deterrent has to be visible. If the deterrent isn't visible, there's no deterrent. And what you allow will continue, and all this. And I've said something, and I don't know how to back it up with an option apart from just get numbers out there. And whilst it may seem ridiculous and so simple to say, start somewhere, because we can't have that one or two screams and shrieks and whistles. It's imbecilic behaviour that we don't want at darts. We do not want it.
I just wanted to touch on a point that you mentioned about Luke, an interesting point. You said that, maybe sometimes he struggles to lose a match, he's not expecting to lose. And I was thinking about this earlier. With Michael van Gerwen, he was a sensation when he was a teenager. And then he had a lull, which, do you think that helped him? And maybe that's where Luke Littler was disadvantaged, because he came in as a superstar, and he's been virtually at the top ever since. He almost doesn't know the feeling of losing. Yeah,
Michael had a 5-year lull. That was a case of Vincent van der Voort kept him a dart player. He was relying on those around him, Michael, and he was lucky to have such a friend in Vincent. Michael always had that belief that this will happen for me, because he was the BDO world number one at 16, world master at 16, went into the world championships BDO in 2006 or 7 as the favourite. This is younger than Luke Littler. It didn't work out for him, but he had the belief. Now, you said it hasn't happened to Luke. There may be a lull. We don't know. He may go missing for 2 or 3 years. Yes, it's impossible to foresee now, but we didn't see the lull in Michael van Gerwen come 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11. It was only in 2012 that he hit the ground running from 2007. So that was a long gap, and people were thinking, we'll never see the best of Michael van Gerwen again. How wrong were we all? With Luke, he hasn't had a downward spiral as yet, or a downward curve, but maybe it's just happening. He won 4 times last year. 6 times last year in the Premier League, 4 times the year before. We all thought he's going to win 8 weeks of the Premier League. We certainly thought he was going to do better than last year. Hasn't transpired yet. So maybe this is his little lull, but it's still very, very good. He's still world champion and older of like 8 or 9 majors. But what I'm getting at is that we don't know when a player's going to have their next downward curve. It may happen to him, it may not. But I just want to see the world of darts treating Luke as still that young man. We know that he's not, and I'm reticent to mention age, but I still believe that he's grown into his own boots. I still don't think he knows himself. I'm not sure I know myself, and I'm way past middle-aged. So we're always learning. Every day's a learning day. Every day's a school day.
And just on Michael van Gerwen, there's an awful lot of darts we played this year, but I don't think it's in the Grand Slam yet. Provisionally, it's number 20 after the World Championship.
Yeah.
Defending a match play final, World Championship final. There's been some good performances this year, but some really iffy ones.
Yes.
Are you growing concerned now that we're seeing a transition from Van Gerwen from the elite player, which to be fair he still is, like you said, match play final, World Championship final, to someone who is just one of the chasing pack?
Right, my opinion on Michael van Gerwen is that when he plays his A game, he wins. He doesn't win as often as he used to. His A game would always be enough. Now, sometimes it's not. My concern, or maybe his concern for himself, is that his B game doesn't win. His C game just has no chance of winning. When he played well in the World Series finals, he was good. He was near the top of his game. Not the 110 Michael van Gerwen, but the 102, 103. If he can do that constantly, again and again, then he'll get back there and it won't be a problem, and it'll be... Do you remember when Michael had that drop-off? I still believe that, and he believes this because we had a chat kind of few weeks and months ago, that he knows that his A game wins, and he still feels that. So that's important. But he also knows that his B game is not good enough at spells or in spells, and that's the problem. Who plays their A game? It doesn't come out very often.
Just got two more quick questions. I'll keep you for a while. Don't
Sure,
want to
you're
give you
good.
too much longer. First one, Luke Humphries. A bit strange one with Luke Humphries because on the one hand he's had a really good year. He's made a major final. He's won on the floors, won on the European Tour. Defending Premier League champion. And let's be honest, it's been dismal for him so far.
Yes.
What's gone wrong for Luke?
Right. It started off where his doubling went missing, and there was no other negatives. He was playing beautifully, winning on the European Tour, doing a lot right, but just getting on the Premier League stages and not hitting doubles. Now his scoring game's just gone a little. And in spells his doubling's returning, but I just don't think he's as comfortable as he was. He was looking like this smooth operator that he is. Now we're seeing a bit of head shaking. I think he may be letting the winless streak infect him, and I don't think he should. It's easy for me to say, because he knows at any moment, and I've been accused of literally backing Luke Humphries every week. It's like, Wayne, you must think someone else is going to win. So it's a matter of time. I've got to get it right surely at once. He's not got it right at all. And he's hardly reached a final, which I find bamboozling as well. I do think it turns around. I do. In time for the playoffs, maybe not. And when I say turn around, I'm on about like the maybe after May, June, July, come the World Cup, come the match play, that he hits the ground running there and just walks away with one. If he was to annihilate everyone at the match play, who would be surprised? No one. What is surprising is that he hasn't won a week yet, but I think there's a lot of pressure on the Premier League players to perform. If they're not performing, we do look in depth at why they're not winning. I just think personally, he's not having that rubber to green, and he is missing opportunities. And you can't miss opportunities in the Premier League.
Is he going to feel more pressure when he was at the top, winning everything, winning all those majors, or more pressure now, knowing that he's maybe not chasing Luke Little, but but he's trying to sort of remain in those conversations for winning majors, winning the Premier League nights, etc.
When you're used to winning, if you carry on winning, I think there's little pressure, because you know that you win. When you're used to winning and don't win, that's where the pressure hits. And I think, I do think there's pressure on him. And I think there has to be pressure on him. He was expected to coast his way into the playoffs. That's not happening as yet, but there's still 5 weeks, and he can go bang, and he can win at 15 points. And people might think, listening to me, that it's because I think he's going to do it. I do believe that he's going to win 1 or 2 weeks. I just do, and we'll see if it's good enough. But there's pressure on. There's no doubt about it.
And just finally, I wanted to touch on the Blade X, because I feel like you analyse and break things down quite well compared to others.
Yeah.
We see the Blade X more than any other dartboard. We see it on TV. A lot of people criticise that there's too many bounce out spots, etc.
Yeah.
Number one, do we notice that because we're seeing the board more? And number two, nowadays, when a dart falls to the ground, how much is it the board and how much is it another factor, like it's hit a flight or a dart or it's been released wrong, etc.? Yeah,
this is really interesting. I was chatting with Sam from Winmau just last evening over a steak I might add. Very, very pleasant. The reason I'm saying this, she's standing just there. It's quite funny. We were talking about this, and that the darts on the floor get registered. Right. What about poorly thrown darts that hardly register? They hardly make the board. This happens a lot. And with the flight and stem combinations that we're seeing, they are just so rigid. They do not allow a point or any part of the dart to hit them and then plough through into the board, so that dart falls out. But it might get to the board and do that. Someone sees a dart falling out. No. It's not been thrown well enough, and it's also a flight stem combination that don't really agree with the player. And also the poorly thrown darts that hardly register. It happened with Dave Chisnell in the UK Open. He was throwing some darts that hardly penetrated the board. They were falling out, and there was a gasp from the crowd thinking another dart's fallen out. No. As for bounce outs, they seldom happen. Fallouts are what we want to know. I don't care how many darts end up on the floor. They end up on the floor for multiple reasons. We want to know fallouts. We want to know what dart is penetrated to a point where it's like, this is not falling out. Another one goes in, then it comes out. They're the ones we're interested in. These are the real numbers. The real numbers are not the darts on the floor. There are so many games being played on these boards that some darts are well thrown, some are not. Those on the floor don't interest me. Those that fall out interest me. And these are the numbers that the Winmau are chasing. These are the numbers that count. People think that I'm biased because I'm a Winmau ambassador. No, I'm looking for the truth here. I'm looking for the truth. And if the board can be improved upon, let me tell you that Winmau are already at it. But what I do believe is that the numbers that is being portrayed are wrong. And I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that. And I don't care. I supported Unicorn back in the day, and I was never with them. I believe their boards got an absolute hammering, and it was unfair. It was so unfair. And I said that to Edward and Richard Lowe back in the day, and I did my own research, and I kind of got proved to be right. It didn't make the light of day because it was just for me and a few of the other manufacturers. But the Blade X come out as the all singing, all dancing board. Some players thought that or some social media influencers, of which they're in abundance, they had their own little agenda going on, and I'm not a fan of that either. But let's not get started down that road.
We'll leave that one there, then Wayne, as always.
Leave it there. My absolute pleasure.